back to Tools and Track. Apologies for the slight diversion with Impreza chat, but in this episode we're definitely back on the Locost. And today we're going to do something fun. It's going to stand on its own feet. We've done a lot of how-tos in previous episodes. We've been making front upper and lower arms and rear upper and lower arms. We have also done a wee bit of prep with the running gear that was going to have to hold, but we are at a stage now where these have been painted and they're ready to go on. So let's start our first draft of an assemble and see if we can get wheels in this guy and have my chassis rolling. Spoilers, I don't think we're going to get there, but at least we'll see what we still need. The reason I say this, by the way, and apologies because Mechanical Holder did a fantastic job of painting these up. However, I may have given them a bit of a run steer, because what have I forgot to include on these front lower wishbones?
The mount for the coilovers?
Yeah.
Nice, so we need to take paint off?
Yeah. Sorry. On the front lower wishbones we do have a geometry point on the big Bible of bollocks. The last thing I promise we're ever going to refer to that big Bible of bollocks for is the positioning of these mounts. So we're going to buff this back, figure out where they need to go, weld them on, paint up the difference, and then I promise we'll just bin the big Bible of bollocks. Unless you want to win it and you're a Patreon, hit me a message and I'll give you it.
It's the best part of building a piece of furniture from IKEA when it's so complete that you can throw the manual away.
Patreon.com/toolsandtrack and let me know and I'll send you it. Let's kick things off. Let's just see what we can build first. Let's just finger this up and amazing.
I take it isn't symmetrical, is it?
Yes, it's symmetrical on that axis, but not on that axis, like that way. So, yeah, that could be upside down, is the point I'm making.
Ah, okay. It's weird looking at it from this perspective. This looks further away than this guy.
Yeah, but it's not.
Ah, how mad.
Yeah.
Totally mad.
Also, I'm going to have to go onto eBay and get bits for this to actually happen, because whilst I did say earlier on we would, size it up with a lower and an upper ball joint, I only bought one. Be right back.
Your eBay account must be bursting into bloody flames between this and the panty burner.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we call it the panty burner. Well, I've still not had a decent name.
That's a name to be honest.
Can you identify that part?
That is a ball joint for the top.
Actually no, so despite all of the stuff that we have been buying that are ball joints for...
Oh, that's an actual tracker then?
That's an actual tracker then, yeah. I thought, given that we're going to put the front end on, why not put this steering rack in and see if we can actually make it steer while we're at it. Now I know we're probably going to have some issues with that because this is MX5 running stock, but we don't know if this head's going to match
the smart car steering rack?
Yeah. But, this is definitely what we're going to use anyway. The old ones were complete toast, so let's get into this in this episode as well and see if we can get the steering rack finished.
What other goodies do you have?
Oh, well, a lot of me.
This reminds me of when my credit card went on fire rebuilding the MX5.
Yeah, mine's kind of did that as well. Identify please, Mechanical Holder.
So once again we have a ball joint.
Yes.
So this time it's an actual ball joint.
Yes.
From something?
MX5.
Ah.
Believe it or not, some parts will still be MX5 despite how much bastardisation I have done. Well, this comes with bolts. That is
Sacre bleu!
That's useful for reasons.
That's pretty uncommon.
Yeah, because the other one didn't and I had to buy all these bolts. Rage!
With the powers of logic granted to me, I'm going to say it goes on here, but it doesn't fit. Oh, wait a minute.
Remember that
does
chat
fit.
about it not being symmetrical?
There we go.
Yes. See, when you have a mad eBay splurge, right? You kind of get into a lot of things and you're like, oh, all these bits that are arriving, they'll all be for low cost.
That's glasses.
Yes!
Oh, nice. Did you buy yourself some new fake
Yeah, I
glasses?
thought it was time for some new Lex.
Oh, my alternate. Oh, sunglasses.
Yeah, definitely colour.
Get Paul Raymond get on, are you going to start making Tom films?
Start. Big boy, you really put the ass in the assembly.
Oh, I forgot to put the washer on as well. I think it'd be easier if I had a
Spanner?
15, 16 mil.
Yeah.
Oh man. Ah, yeah.
Would you like a ratchet?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
I thought that might be a solution, but it's clearly
19 mil, please. Okay.
our first part
Look at that.
has been finished. Apart from the bit that's not, because it doesn't have this.
Yeah.
Right, let's get on the car. Right guys, whilst Mechanical Hoarder's putting the front end on, I am going to have to play catch up with myself and get the rear end sorted. So, this is the MX-5 rear hub. We haven't looked at this in, I would say about a year, when we last whipped it off the car and then instantly forgot about it. So, what do we have on the rear hub? Well, it's not too complex in comparison to the front. We've got to take the disc off, which it's going to be a fight if I'm going to be honest, because it ain't moving. Then the back end of it, we've got, as per before, bearing carrier, ABS sensor, which I'm pleased to say has a half chance of actually coming off on this one for some reason, and we've got this bush. Now, word of caution on this bush if you are using the MX-5 hub. I can't find it anywhere. Now, I've seen something similar to this with Toyota Sleekers back in the day, where there was a hub bush on the front for some reason on the GT4, and everyone would press it out and then it'd be like, yay, let's go put poly bushes in, and for whatever reason they don't make one. So, if you're a poly bush manufacturer and you want to corner a market that doesn't exist, these hub bushes on the top, nothing available. I'm going to try and retain this, so we'll strip everything back with regards to rust. We'll make sure the bearings look good. If we can take it apart as far as possible and make it look nice, we will. But as everything spins here, this hub, at least, is just ready for a quick lick and put in the car.
Right, where's the big long bolts you were supposed to buy from eBay to mount this?
That'll be the last package.
Yeah. Nice.
That's a lot of nuts and bolts.
What do we open this with? A grinder?
Okay. Are you happy?
Yes. Very. Right, we have washers, massive bolts, and nylon nuts. Excellent.
So this is the point, viewers, where I pray that I got my measurements right, because I'm letting somebody else put my car together. Hold on.
Not WD-40. A nice generous dosing there of not WD-40. Ah yes, the persuasion champion.
This is positive so far.
Oh, it's in.
Aye. Bearing in mind that we're going to have to take this back off to do the suspension mount, and for anyone else who's doing loose assemblies, do not gun up your nylocks until you're ready to leave them on. The problem with nylocks is, when thread cuts in, that's your nylocks tightness gone. As soon as you start taking them on and off, it loses bite every single time. So we're just going to go up until the nylock bites, leave it at that. It's at this point I remind myself that I am a tidy, and do you know what I've got for that? Do you know what I've got for this? David, do you know what I've got for this that's really useful? 300 little tubs.
Nice.
Which I keep forgetting to actually use.
Right, I think that's all of them. What's up? You lost an arm.
Oi mate! Right,
So where's this arm? Have you made it?
I think I've lied. So we don't actually have all the arms.
Probably do have one.
We do have one, so we'll put one on. This is what this is all about. We're trying to put things together and actually see.
Yeah.
Well, you've got an added bonus here of having the track rods already pre-installed on this arm. Whilst Mechanical Hoarder is putting things together, how quickly do you think I can make another arm?
Not very, because you'll need that arm to make the next one.
That's a pretty good idea actually. I could make one of my jigs. In fact, that's a brilliant
You're
idea.
going to make a jig?
Let's make a jig from the old arm to template the new arm.
Easy.
I'm glad I invited him down.
I have my uses.
I'm a fanny. Can't remember what I've welded. let's be honest guys, it's a big project, so it's not a massive surprise that I maybe forgot something pretty critical, like an entire front wishbone. So, in this segment, which is probably going to do a full loop on all of the different options I've used to make these, we are going to make a jig again, but this time, rather than use the big bible bollocks, because I binned it, we're going to template one component and use it to make a jig for another one. I.e., if I've made a mistake on this one, I'm replicating it onto the next one. Let's see how accurate I've done it to begin with. Well, I don't think I'll ever tire of pushing bushes out of this guy. I haven't bothered removing all of this because, well, you know, I don't have to. We're only looking for the outside reference points here. Should have also been another indicator. I've still got one of these sitting around waiting to go in here, so, you know, why didn't that occur to me? Anyway, so now we're going to find the reference points, which is going to be this length here to this length here, and then from that length to that length. Make a nice perfect square to go around it. That was suspiciously quick and easy. Will it be right? Who knows?
Do you have a hub, dear darling?
I have a hub. Freshly refurbed.
That is fabulous looking.
Isn't it?
I can never put a nut on a bolt with my left hand. It's funny that. My right hand it always happens easily. But with my left hand, I can sit here all day. Doesn't happen easily with my right hand either, as it turns out. There we go. Look at that! The steering rack isn't going to connect.
Oh. So yeah, that's the wrong side.
Yes, it is.
So you'll quite clearly note that the steering rack goes here, and therefore the steering shaft needs to come out here and act on that. So this is for
the other side,
offside, not the near side.
Well, the point is though, look at that.
The other point I hasten to add that we may have issues with is that's the hub you need.
Right, and what's the problem?
It's barking.
Aye.
Well, we should probably refurb that one first.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, but look at this. That is a up and downy movement.
And it works as well, which is positive.
And if we need more camber, speaking of positive, we'll just adjust this guy, bring the top in the way, and then we're cambered. That's fabulous. I like that. Look at that.
Very annoying. This is the same thread size, but it's a different bloody pitch. So close, and yet so far. Survey says. Okay, so this is the rack that we want to use. This is the inner tie rod from it, which has a relatively coarse looking thread on it, which is held in place by a Loctite and bugger all else. This is the old inner tie rod from the MX-5. As you can see, neither of these are a match. The thread for the outside for the smart car will not mate up to the new thread for an MX-5 tie rod. So that doesn't give us an easy option either. So, what do? Get a custom inner tie rod made. We could get a custom outer tie rod made, or we could meet in the middle. Alright, I know that's probably not the best test to do, but it has quelled one little bit of fear that I had, which was, will this fill that? As you can see, the rack seems to sit really low using the measurements supplied, and I did have a bit of anxiety that that would be quite close. Thankfully, we're okay. When building a kit car, there are no such thing as problems, only engineering issues waiting to be resolved. I had a sneaking suspicion we were going to have an issue with this. I'm using MX-5 running gear and a smart car steering rack. Of course I'm going to have an issue with this. So let's talk about something called bump steer. Now this is, in a very basic term, the front suspension of our car. Our steering rack lives here. Now you'll note that steering rack is probably about representative as to what you would find with a Smart, i.e. bloody short. Now, if we were to have used the MX-5 or the Sierra that the original book calls for, that probably would have came to about here. Now you'll note here, if I had a set of inner joints for our tie rods, I would have had arms that come down and steer the hubs about there. Now, bump steer is when this suspension compresses up and down. If this sits too far out, all of the measurements and distances will be translated when that goes up and down. And what will happen is, if you've got too short of a tie rod length, you will actually steer in and out when the suspension goes up and down. This is generally regarded as a bad thing. This shorter rack gives us better options for eliminating bump steer. If we were to just use the Smart Car's setup with joints here, you're probably going to find exceptionally long tie rods, and we will get a similar kind of bump steer whereby the tie rod's lengths are not really going to match the wishbone's length. So when this all compresses up and down, it's going to move at a slightly different rate from everything else. We want to get this, without getting into a considerable amount of science, as close to here as possible. That will not mate to there for the inner and outer tie rod connections. And if I was to use the MX-5 inner tie rod, it won't mount to here. You can see where I'm going with this. What we're going to do is an adapter. So this thread in here is going to be mated to an adapter, which is then going to have a thread here that will mate to an MX-5 inner tie rod. What I'm going to have to do is work out what these threads need to be, and then find somebody to do it, because I need a lathe, and I don't have a lathe. So if you are watching this, and you're a better engineer than I am, and you've got a lathe that can knock something up, hit me up in the comments below. Have we achieved everything we set out to do in this episode? No. But that's okay. Sometimes you just need to push the project along even though you're not hitting targets. Progress is still progress. We have also managed to achieve a considerable amount in this episode. Think about it. We've got all the front end sorted, we know all the snags that we didn't know before, and we know how to fix them. So, in the next episode, the rear end, we know is going to more or less work. We'll throw that on quickly, then we'll look at brakes, because brakes will be needed for us to put wheels on and land this on the deck. Also, that's not going to take us a lot of time. So, in the next episode, Once it's standing on its feet, we're going to throw the engine in. In the meantime, thanks to everyone. If you've just joined us, like, subscribe, do all that sort of stuff. All our Patreons running up the screen right now. Really appreciate your support. If you don't know what that's all about, patreon.com/toolsandtrack and help this project maybe one day get finished. Thanks again for the support, guys. We will see you next time.
Well,